What's going on, everyone? Sean Mitchell, Denver real estate agent with Compass, and that's actually the first time that I'm saying that publicly as I made the transition to a new brokerage. And for those that are clients, buyers, and sellers and past clients, you'll probably see an immediate benefit from this transition. But if you're in my sphere, your friend or a family member or an acquaintance, you'll also see some benefit too. So looking forward to a new year, new me, 2022, here we go. Let's jump into the real estate market update for the Denver area. I want to recap 2021 as well as talk about 2022 and what I expect this year in real estate. So make sure and stay tuned to the end. Here are the things that we're going to cover in this video. Number one, the median days on market, then months of housing inventory for single family homes, number of new listings, median sale price, mortgage rates for 1 and 10-year outlook, the Denver area unemployment rate, and I take your questions from online, so let's go ahead and jump in. The median days on market for December 2021 was sitting at 5 days, and the average is 18. If you look back all the way to 2014, you can see that the median days on market was sitting at around 40, and the average is just under 80. Fast forward to the last 13 months, and it just has a very bizarre, unusual look to it. In fact, everyone that I talk to in the industry says that they've never seen anything like this. And if you, in 2021, bought or sold, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The houses just refuse to stay on the market for any longer than a few days. And it's just mind-blowing to me, I think. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in some of the other slides, but this does create a very interesting predicament for those that are buying in this market. Months of housing inventory for single family homes is 0. Basically what that means is that the MLS is saying that there's less than 1 month of inventory. So inventory is tighter than it's ever been. And here you can see over on the right, actually let's go look over on the left. You'll see all the way back to 2011, the months of housing inventory. Basically this means that if no more houses were put on the market, this is how long it would take to exhaust the current inventory. So back in 2011, you were sitting at 14 months. Now you're sitting at less than 1 month. And we've been going back and forth between 1 month and less than 1 month for a little over a year, maybe about 14 months. And I think this is the new normal, in my opinion, at least for the short term. Number of new listings, 1,819. So though we are seeing more houses go on the market historically than what we have seen in recent years, it's still not enough, and that tells me that there's a lot of people moving to Denver. There's a lot of people who are looking to buy in the Denver area, and the demand is outstripping the supply. The median sale price is $590,000 for single family homes, and the average is just a hair over $700,000. Here you can see historically what we're looking at here. We saw a massive jump in springtime of 2021. It has quieted down a little bit, but that's pretty normal for the winter time. I will say though that with my clients who have continued the house hunt in the winter months, these houses are not sitting very long. In fact, they're not even lasting through the weekend. They're gone within the first day or two. Sellers have ample offers to look at and select one that is well above asking price. I think we're in for an interesting 2022 if you're, well, I guess if you're both buyer and seller, but certainly if you're a buyer. Here we're looking at mortgage rates, and for the 30-year fixed, it's sitting at 3.56, the 15-year fixed, 2.79, and the 5/1 adjustable, 2.6. You do see a jump there since the beginning of the year, but let's take a look at the 10-year look back. Though it has seen a significant jump, it's not as high as what it was in 2019, where the 30-year fix was hovering just below 5%. I think we've got some room here before we see any sort of drag on the real estate market, in my personal opinion. Interest rates are still really, really great. They're looking very strong, and I think as long as you've got good credit and have a good job, you should get a really good deal. What about the unemployment rate? These are numbers from November 2021. It's sitting at 4.5%, and that's in comparison to the national rate of 4.2. This is actually really encouraging because, as you can see over on the right, we haven't quite hit pre-pandemic unemployment rate, which was one of the lowest in the country. It is falling. That means people are getting back to work, which is great. We're learning to live with the pandemic. We're learning to adjust, and businesses are hiring back again. I think that's one of the factors we need for a very healthy local economy. Next up are your questions from social media. Now, 25 or 30 questions came in, and I won't be able to answer all of them, but I did want to take some of the interesting ones, most interesting ones in my opinion, and answer them here today. First one is from Dan. Where do you think the housing market will be come spring? Seller's market or buyers? Well, this is an easy one for me because when I look at the low inventory, historically low inventory, the still low interest rates and low days on market, I think that sellers are in a far more favorable position than buyers. Buyers will have a challenge here finding a house that they really, really like, and I'll give some tips at the end of the video on how I think buyers can position themselves best to get a house that they really, really love. But expect that it's going to be a challenge and that it may take a little bit longer than previous years to find a house. Next question comes from EDKDFS. You could only pick one Colorado market to buy where you get the lifestyle of hiking / outdoors with easy access to the airport, and you get the most for your money, and it's up and coming. Oh, and golf is a must, LOL. Where are you buying? Oh, within 30 minutes of Whole Foods. Your requirements here for a house are pretty stiff. I was going to say, before the affordability aspect, Boulder seems like the right place for you, but if you want affordability, Denver Metro's probably not going to be the best bet for you unless you're willing to live a little bit further east. I would say that Colorado Springs might be a good fit. It's a little bit less expensive than Denver. You do have low traffic, low crime, and you have access to the outdoors. And there's Whole Foods there. And so that may be a good fit, but if you're willing to spend a little bit and you've seen, I'm pretty sure this individual is a Tesla investor. If you've seen some nice wealth growth from your Tesla investments in their stock, my recommendation would probably be Boulder or Fort Collins. Next question comes from Jayak Shori, and he asks, not all builders in NC, North Carolina, offer solar roof / panels for new homes. They ought to in 2022. Don't know who to approach to make it a law. Appreciate your thoughts. The few that do offer make it cost prohibitive. Yeah, I do have a little bit of experience actually in policy making here in Colorado, helping some laws and being in support of some laws that are beneficial to constituents in the area. My recommendation here is to reach out to a legislator in your state. Find one that is a proponent of these types of laws around solar and pitch it to them. Pitch the idea to see how he or she, that legislator, can help other constituents. My guess is that you're probably not the only one. And if you can get a group together to approach a legislator, they might buy in. And my advice is find a legislator that has introduced bills and gotten them passed that are complementary to what you want. So in this case, it's solar. If you can go back and search previous bills that have been signed into law where legislators have sponsored them, you will increase your chances of them taking on a bill. I've done this before, at least participated in this, and it's just quite remarkable to see how constituents in a city or a state can impact law that will benefit you and everyone else. So good luck with that, and send me a DM if you need further clarification. Joe asks, how will rising interest rates affect the market? Well, as I said previously on the mortgage interest rate slide, I think that they could probably go up a percent or even more and still not slow down the local real estate market. I'm thinking specifically for Denver. Joe, I know you live in a different area, but I think it would still apply. interest rates still have some room to grow, in my opinion, or increase before it starts to drag down the real estate market. At least here in the Denver area, as I mentioned, the demand for houses far outstrips the supply. So as long as you've got that, I think that you're really not going to see any drag on the real estate market in regards to the interest rates. Now, if it starts creeping up above 5%, who knows? I mean, interest rates have been much higher than that historically, and here we are. We still see growth. We still see the economy growing and people buying and selling real estate. So in the short term, I think we'll be okay. Garrett asks, I have literally everything: solar, Powerwall, EV hookup, detached 2-story garage, immense back patio with in-ground pool, pergola, sauna. Just how much am I actually going to get back? Total cost to build it all has been a little over $300,000. Well, first of all, congratulations on this complete ecosystem. I really hope that you're enjoying it, first of all. And that's probably the most important thing, is that if you're making these improvements to your house, that you're enjoying them and that it's benefiting your life and lifestyle and family. After that, I would probably say that some of the things that you should be thinking about are, where is your house? And how much did you pay for it initially in comparison to the other houses around it? That's going to give you a good idea about whether you've over-improved or not. For example, if you bought a house in an up-and-coming area, and houses are selling for less than what you bought yours for, you may have over-improved with these things. However, if your house is, let's say, on the higher end in terms of purchase price or value, you're probably going to be okay. Now, this is a lot, but that's when it comes back to, do you enjoy it and does it benefit you personally? Will you get that money back dollar for dollar? Maybe not everything. It depends on your market, depends on the location, of course. Is there high demand in your neighborhood and in your area? You may get dollar for dollar back, but if it's in an area that's maybe on the lower end, you probably won't get that dollar for dollar back, in my opinion. So I would say, take a look at how much houses are selling for in your neighborhood, and then that may give you an idea about what you bought it for and then how much you've invested into it and whether you might get that return back. So again, it all comes back to, are you enjoying it? Does it benefit you and bring you value in your life? And if so, then it may not be as important for you to get that $300,000 that you've invested into the house with improvements. Susan asks, how is the supply chain affecting housing prices? Well, for existing houses, I don't see any direct impact, negative impact, or really positive impact in existing houses. But certainly, I have seen clients who are building brand new see price increases, either recent price increases before they go under contract, or in some cases, builders are having to increase their prices while a client is under contract, and they do sort of put that in. They do put those amendments in the contracts that then give those new builders the leeway to be able to increase prices in the event you've got some supply chain disruptions. Like last year, I know that a client, they didn't see any price increases directly, but because the contract did not have that in there, but they were told that they were seeing delays in the completion of their house. In fact, it was delayed, I think, maybe a month or two because of the supply chain disruption with wood. But sometimes buyers are seeing price increases while their house is being built or during that process. So much more on the new construction side than on the existing home side. Steve asks, have you seen an increase in homes having dedicated EV charging and or solar? I have, and this is really exciting. I think that this correlates, though, to how many electric car registrations are happening in your state. I know that in Colorado, we've seen some pretty substantial year-over-year growth, and that's encouraging. I'm seeing more electric cars on the road, which I am in support of, and the more cars that are on the road, the more common it will be to see plugs, EV plugs in garages and solar as well. So anecdotally, I'm dealing with more clients who have these things in their house. In fact, in December, I had some buyers who were two-time Tesla owners. They had Tesla solar on their roof and posted this listing on Twitter. Some Tesla owner on Twitter saw it and ended up buying that house. So this was the first time for me that it was this sort of closed loop within the Tesla ecosystem. I thought it was super cool. And I think this is going to be more common as more people buy electric cars. And you see those registrations go up and up and up. I'll insert a chart here for the number of electric vehicles in the state of Colorado so you can get an idea about where things are at. There's clearly a market leader and a front runner in terms of fully electric vehicle registrations, but you've got some really nice EVs from automakers that are really giving that front runner, Tesla, a run for its money. Michael asks, is this a bubble or the new norm? Well, as best as I can tell, it's not a bubble, and this is probably going to be the new norm for quite a while. There are a lot of factors that are outside of my control and outside of my perspective. If you have macro influences like war or some other pandemic that shuts things down, that could negatively impact real estate prices, but everything looks to be a very strong real estate market where transactions are happening, albeit a very challenging one for buyers and a very healthy one for sellers. Gretchen asks, advice for first-time home buyers in getting offers accepted? Well, I think first and foremost, patience is a virtue. It's going to require a lot of patience for you because there's just a lot of other buyers out there wanting to buy houses. Second, I think it's important that you plan on offering over asking price. Expect it. There may be some exceptions, but more often than not, you're going to have a lot of competition, and in order to get a house that you really like, you're going to have to offer well over asking price. What I saw last year in 2021 was typically between, I would say, $20,000 and $50,000. For some of these higher end homes, it ended up being between $50,000 and $100,000 over asking price. So expect to have some additional cash in the bank. That's also going to be needed if you're going to be asking over asking price and you run into an issue where the house appraises for less than what you're purchasing it for. Your lender is going to require a little bit additional funds, and when you submit that offer, make sure that you're putting in there, your agent is putting in there, that you're willing to put some sort of appraisal gap coverage. And lastly, make sure that you hire a really talented agent that is creative and can think outside the box in terms of the type of offer, and the things in it to make it the most appealing and get it under contract. So, really good question. And what are we looking at in 2022 for the real estate market? Well, as I've sort of indicated, this is going to be a very challenging market for buyers. It's going to require a lot of time and patience. You may have to offer 5, 10, 15 offers on houses before you get one accepted. Be patient. This is all a part of the process, and until we get more inventory, this is just going to be the name of the game. Make sure that you're ready to go, though. Make sure you've got a lot of cash saved in the bank in the event you do need to put more money into purchasing the house with the appraisal gap coverage. I will say, though, that of all of my clients last year who were doing loans, none of them ran into any issues with an appraisal gap, thankfully. So it sounds like appraisers are seeing that houses are going for well over asking price and making that assessment and adjustment accordingly. So if you're a seller or you're a homeowner watching this video and you've been thinking maybe it's time to take a look at selling the house, cashing out, and going to Mexico or going to a smaller city where there's less traffic, this is probably a really good time to do it. If you'd like to explore that a little bit, I'd love to have a conversation with you, apply for the job, And I'm pretty confident that we can get a very healthy price for you as long as it's priced according to comps in the area. If you're a buyer, hang tight. It's going to be a bumpy ride, a bumpy landing with some turbulence, but patience wins the game, perseverance wins the game with real estate in 2022. I'm excited, and it's definitely causing me to grow as a professional and find other ways creative ways to get things sold and get my buyer clients the houses that they really, really love. So Sean Mitchell, Denver Real Estate Agent with Compass, thank you so much for watching this. I know this is maybe a little bit of a longer one, but there were a ton of good questions. I didn't get to all of them, but I got to a lot of the ones that I thought were interesting and valuable to those watching. So Sean Mitchell signing off. Until the next one, talk to you soon.